Hello and welcome back to the Raspberry Podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Yoga for BJJ. If you haven't heard of Yoga for BJJ, which most of you probably have, but if you haven't heard of it, it is the brainchild of Sebastian Brosch, a black belt from Norway who also happens to be the most recognized yoga instructor in grappling. I also had Sebastian on the podcast. It was episode 38 and it was actually a really good episode. So if you haven't heard that, go check that one out as well. The idea of Yoga for BJJ is essentially just to help you with your injuries, to fix injuries if you have one, or if you keep on getting little niggling injuries, as most people do who do any form of sport, let alone grappling. And if you don't have injuries, the idea is to stop you from ever getting them. It's just a good idea to do a little bit of flexibility or mobility work, and nobody really does it, or like a lot of people don't do it, and a lot of the time that's because you don't know what to do. So this is a really simple and easy way. It's a website. It's also now an app. And basically there are programs and classes guided through. You just watch a video and you get guided through sessions by Sebastian himself. And some of them are really short. I've done sessions from this program and they're literally 10 minutes long. If you can't find 10 minutes a day to do a bit of stretching to make your body feel and perform better, you probably need to sort your life out because it's not very much time. They also have some Rehab Programs by Rosie Sexton, who knows a hell of a lot about injuries. I actually want to get her on the podcast, so if you're listening to this, Rosie, hit me up. So go on there, check it out. You can get a discount via myself and this podcast by going to yogaforbjj.net/ape or using the code word APE at checkout. They also do a free 14-day trial. Basically, you don't really have any excuse not to give it a go. Go check it out. See if it's for you. If you do grappling and you have any experience with any sort of injuries, why not try out some programs that have been proven to help people with those injuries? So check it out, yogaforbjj.net/ape. Today I'm joined by Lachlan Giles. Lachlan is one of the most recognizable names in the grappling world. He's an elite competitor. He's competed all over the world in pretty much every big competition and show there is. He's also renowned as one of the best coaches out there. He's the head coach at Absolute MMA St Kilda, which is in Australia. He's coached to some of the biggest names in the sport, including the one and only Craig Jones. He's also a certified physiotherapist, which is something that a lot of people don't know about him. So he's a really cool guy. I managed to catch him whilst he was in the UK competing and doing some seminars. Really enjoyed chatting with him, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to it. Check it out. Let's try it again. Firstly, how you doing?
I'm doing very well.
So you have just come to the end of You fought on Grapple Fest, came to UK, fought to Grapple Fest, and then you've been going around the country teaching seminars for the last 10 days. How exhausted are you?
Pretty tired right now.
You were telling me just beforehand that you did... is it one of those things, I think a few people come over and they just assume that England isn't big, especially compared to somewhere like Australia, but they assume it's very, very small. So when you book like 10 seminars in different places in the UK, and then you actually look on the map and realize there's 5 or 6 hours between those two things.
Yeah.
Was it one of those?
We'll blame Chris Thompson. Booked it for me, actually. No, it actually wouldn't have been too bad, except I may, because I flew into London. Yeah. I had to then go up, and then like there was a bit more up and down because of that, and I had to come back down again.
Well, you said you did Taunton to Middlesbrough.
Yeah, that was my biggest drive.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah,
that's badly planned because it's not too far from. So you must have been down there a few days ago.
Yeah,
drove up day before yesterday.
I drove up yesterday. Yeah,
to Middlesbrough, and then back down today.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not
early.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. You used to driving a lot. You live in Australia. Do you have to drive a lot there?
Yeah, if you're going to go anywhere, you either fly. You know, if it's far enough, then you fly. But it's different. Like I quite like driving in the UK. I think. Like you got some really nice scenery. Obviously, when you're just on the motorway, it's a bit more bland. But like, especially when you go like there are some nice places. Really nice,
there are some pretty horrible roads in the UK, and there's some really nice roads as well.
But it's nice and green, and in Australia, it's all just dry. And,
I can imagine that driving to Australia would be really cool because everything's so big and open and
but it's more scary as well, especially if you're driving at night because you're expecting like kangaroos to run into.
Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, they can wreck your car.
Really? They're big motherfuckers.
Or wombats as well.
Wombats.
Yeah.
That is something that we don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
It's like hitting a wombat in the middle of the night.
It was. I've seen a little bit of roadkill here, but yeah, I don't know what they were, but
not wombats. I guarantee. Not kangaroos or
definitely
wombats.
not kangaroos or wombats. Yeah.
Probably foxes or something. So do when you're doing these seminars, do you teach the same stuff? Do you have like a set repertoire that you teach at these seminars?
I mean, I kind of leave it up to the person to decide. I have I have probably the three main ones I get asked for are leg locks, half guard, and front headlock.
Guillotines.
Guillotines and that sort of stuff. Occasionally I'll get asked to do guard passing. So probably for each of them I've got a pretty good idea of like what I'll teach.
So when you go to a seminar, you don't have an idea of what you're doing before you get there.
I often do. I mean, it depends. Yeah.
Or you just be like, "What do you guys want to do today?"
Sometimes one or two, a couple of them were like that.
I think that helps. So when I do seminars, I do the same thing for a year.
Yeah.
Over a year sometimes.
Yeah.
It can get a bit monotonous. I think it
might
be a bit easier if you can just go there and be like, "Oh, we're doing something a bit different."
It is nice. Like I think I had like 3 or 4 half guard ones in a row, and I was really happy that someone then wanted a leg lock one.
Sure.
I was like, yes, it's like and probably the same if it was the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you find that there's, I don't know, do you roll when you go to seminars?
Sometimes, yeah. I usually, it was like I'd like to, because I've been basically just like driving and then not being able to do my own training as much.
Okay, so you want to roll.
I've been wanting to roll, but sometimes it's hard because like sometimes the seminar's at 7 p.m. and then by the time I finish the technical, it's like already 9:30 when we go through some Q&A, and then it's like, a lot of the time
it's a very, very long day. When you've driven 7 hours that day, it's probably and
sometimes I'm pretty tired by then as well. So it's but I mean it's nice if I can get some rolls in as well. I'm
kind of intrigued by because obviously you do seminars all around the world. I know you've done a lot in the States and obviously in Australia. It's where you spend most of your time, and then you've come to the UK. Have you done seminars in the UK before this trip?
Maybe 1 or 2. Not
like
this.
Doing like a tour. Is there any difference in as an instructor and someone who does a lot of seminars? I'm interested in it to kind of pick your brain of whether there's a noticeable difference in the style of people from different countries. Especially when you're teaching more of the modern leg lock game.
I think it's more club dependent than because sometimes you'll go to a club and they want a leg lock seminar because they don't play leg locks and they want to learn, and that's going to be a more I'll usually do a more fundamentals based seminar, whereas like some of the places I went to on this trip are like, we've had Craig Jones here a few months ago teaching a seminar. I'm like, okay, well I better show my more tricky stuff, like
the stuff that you haven't shown Craig Jones yet.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think they're both, obviously, actually, to be honest, I still think the fundamental stuff is the stuff that, most of the time, like the issue when I look at someone missing a heel hook or something, for example, is usually just like one of the fundamental things that's going on. It's not that they don't know the super new counter that that works against that. It's just like making sure all the fundamentals there are right. Course. So
and talking about the leg lock game, this is something that I don't know if your experience has been similar, but it seems that in the last couple of years there's been this like a leg lock revolution. Since I'd probably say 2016, 17, and suddenly it's all come out. Kind of started with the Eddie Bravo guys, and then I feel like the Danaher guys, and then yourself and Craig Jones kind of came and changed everything. Like, what do you think the reason for that is? From the perspective of someone who's kind of at the heart of it.
I always like considered myself like okay at leg locks, even from like a long time ago. I remember probably 8-9 years ago, I probably got Ryan Hall's 50-50 DVD. So I was playing a lot of 50-50 for heel hooks. And then I think probably, I mean, the biggest change, I think, like what I'd say is the modern leg locks now is that there's a bunch of other positions that people are looking to get. And, really using in like a positional control, like the outside ashie and the saddle have come in as well. Obviously 50-50's been around for a bit. Yeah, so then looking at it as positions of control that you want to get to. I think kind of prior to that, people used to try to grab a heel and twist it, without necessarily stabilizing.
Kind
the
of more
well.
the Torquinho style. Which
yeah,
is
that's
just,
right.
You're just going to drop on a leg lock and go for it.
Yeah, reach for the heel and twist it hopefully faster than they can roll.
Yeah.
Whereas, now there's a lot more control of their ability to rotate and so on. So I think, I would, from my perspective, like the first time I always wanted to get good at the leg locks. I thought it was something that,
why is that?
Being a competitor in ADCC, I was like, okay, I'm coming up against some, especially a few years ago. Like I feel more confident in my general jiu-jitsu skills now as well. But like, maybe 4 years ago, preparing for ADCC, and I'm like, okay, how am I going to beat? I ended up fighting Dorino first round. I didn't beat him, obviously. He beat me, but like I was like, okay, what have I got to work against him? He's a jiu-jitsu world champion. He's good at wrestling. He's good at everything. I'm like, okay, leg locks is an area.
It's like the weakness.
Yeah, well, it's the area that I would say generally the Brazilians are least well versed.
Because Brazilians tend to be more IBJJF focused.
Yeah, and it's just been neglected in general.
I haven't thought of that. That it's like a way of everyone else being able to kind of
bridge the gap a bit.
Between them and the Brazilians. Because I was talking to Dara.
Yeah.
I was talking to Dara yesterday. Actually, obviously when we're putting this podcast out, it won't be yesterday. But we were talking about how it's still so few people have won the Mundials. At non-Brazilians that have won the Mundials, black belt adult. It's still, I think it's like 3 people, and it was once every 10 years. So like BJ Penn, Lovato, and then what was his name? Musumeci was this like 10 years apart. Like we still got a really long way to catch up with them in the gi, and I think it actually makes sense that if you look at the people who are really using the leg locks a lot, it's the Americans and obviously Australians as well, kind of using that as a bit of an advantage. And I guess, even if you look at some of the top UK competitors, like Ross is big into the leg locks as well, kind of using that as a way to balance it.
I also think it's another reason why, no-gi has become a bit more popular.
It's better, obviously.
Yeah, I do enjoy it. I do really enjoy it.
You train in the gi?
I do train in the gi as well, but I've been really enjoying no-gi lately. But I think it's another area that the Brazilians who are on, kind of who've been leading the game for a while don't put as much time into. So I think a lot of people from America,
you won't find many Brazilians who do only no gi.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas you have a lot of Americans and a lot of non-Brazilians who actually specialize in the no gi above the gi. Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
So I think people have seen that as another way to I can get to like a very high level of competition. It's probably a little easier path at the moment, although that's quickly becoming very 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 popular and much more difficult. But
yeah. No, it's interesting. I haven't ever thought of it like balancing out the Brazil versus the world stakes there. But actually, that makes perfect sense. Do you think? I've always felt that there's always been like fads in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Like something's been really popular. I remember a lot of people who've been listening to this won't have been training for that long, so they won't really have known it. But I've been training. How long have you been training for? Just out of interest.
16 years.
Yeah. So I've been training for kind of similar, a little bit less than that. But you'll have like. I remember when 50-50 guard like first came in, and then the worm guard was in, and then there was one year where everyone was wrestling at ADCC, and then the next year everyone's doing leg locks at ADCC. Yeah. Do you think that the leg locks are just one of those things where some people are a little bit ahead of the curve, and everyone's going to catch up eventually, and then it's not going to be as prevalent, or is it actually leg locks are here to stay because they're a superior position?
That's a good question. I think they'll always be there.
But like
people are getting much better at defending them, and I think it's kind of the same with anything.
Well, that's what I mean. Like everything else, it seems like there's this unstoppable technique that if you know what you're doing, but then everyone catches up, and then it's on to the next unstoppable.
It is definitely like if 2 leg lockers are equally skilled, and you get into a leg exchange, probably no one will get each other. It'll probably end up.
That's the worst.
Yeah,
that's the worst. But that. Go on. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. But I think that's the same with
anything.
It's like if guillotines are the most popular thing, then people learn
which they should be
to start. Yeah, people learn to start fighting the hands earlier, getting their head position better.
Yeah.
And then it's like only really if someone's considerably better at that do you get the finish. So yeah, I think it's just my general thoughts in anything in jiu-jitsu is it's easier to stop something happening than to
100%.
make it happen.
Yeah.
So it's like all things being equal, the defense usually will beat the offense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Talking about what you just mentioned, which it does seem like that a lot of people are getting into this, and it did happen with all these other things. Like you're saying, if there's like one dominant move or one dominant position that people are using, and then people catch up with it, you have this phase where everyone's equaling each other out. I remember like I went to a Mundials once and like everyone was just in 50-50 guard and nothing was happening. And you go to another one where people are just like tying each other up in the lapels and nothing's really happening. I think it's happening a lot now with the leg locks, which is, I don't know about you, but for me, like, I don't want to see that. Like from an entertainment perspective, I don't want to see two people pull guard at the same time and just, interlock the legs for 15 minutes without.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's
but like
it's hard because like often the legs are the first, like, when you have a submission only competition, someone's on their back. It's like often the legs are the first thing
that you can make contact with
to attack. So I think that's one of the reasons. And then a lot of people are very good at like go for the legs, doesn't work, just reset, go again, go again, and not trying to change position. I definitely.
I think one of the things with a lot of people nowadays is because it's so popular, when you have a high-level black belts that are very good at leg locks, if you look at the Danaher guys and you look at like yourself and Craig Jones, like all the top leg lockers in the world at the very highest level are also very good at doing everything else.
Yeah, I think,
even Craig Jones, for example, like when he actually came, he's known as one of the best heel hookers in the world now, but when he came onto the scene, it was with triangle and rear naked choke at ADCC. People forget about that. And like Gordon's got great guard passing and a great guard and stuff, and a great butterfly guard and all of this stuff. So they have stuff to fall back on, but these blue belts and white belts who are coming in with the leg lock skills, they have nothing else to fall back on.
It's the same with like the Berambola, You
exactly. See some people I hate that position as well.
But you see plenty of people in the gi just doing Berambola
because they got
never
nothing
come
else.
up to try to pass. I do like everything. Your leg locks will be way better if your pass is threatening, or if your sweeps are threatening, or if your triangle arm bar. So like if you can make them start to defend other things, the legs will be more available. But also when they start defending the legs, the neck
God
becomes
passes,
available. So I think ideally you're attacking everywhere. But
connected onto that, obviously you have your own school, which we'll talk about in a bit. But do you teach leg locks, heel hooks, and all of those positions from beginners, or do you wait until blue belt, purple belt?
I teach it in our. I'll have a fundamentals class, which occasionally we'll go through heel hooks, but we don't, if I cover it in that class, I'll usually let in that class the white belts sort of
in that class.
Yeah, they're allowed to roll with it in that class, just while they're kind of aware of. I want to make sure. I guess
it's a really difficult one with letting white belts leg lock.
Yeah, I guess it's like what I don't want is someone who doesn't know what a heel hook is being heel hooked. I think that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But generally it's blue belt and above. I do think, like as in rolling at our gym, I do think it's like you want to have all-round jiu-jitsu, and it's easy to put the leg lock blinkers on and go like,
if you're good at leg locks, why do you need the pass guard?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like,
but like that's the mentality that a lot of people have.
Obviously,
I don't agree with that.
Yeah. I think it's probably the easiest way to tap a higher belt.
Yeah.
Like you're a blue belt and you're like,
100%.
I tapped a black belt with leg locks. I'm just going to do more of them, which is good, but you'll hit a ceiling there, and it is, you do need to have a full game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm yet to roll with anyone who's a good, like a real high level leg locker that wasn't also dangerous somewhere else, like from other areas. I think people might not see that, but
that, that might be the case that's just not ever going to happen, but it also might be the case where anyone, because leg locks are relatively new, for someone to be high level at anything full stop, they would have had to have been training kind of before the leg lock time. Interesting to see what, it's always interesting to see, how it's looking every 5 years. Like, what's the most dominant thing? Like, what does ADCC look like every 5 years? Or 6 years in their case. whether in another 5 years' time it's still going to be looking like it is today, or whether they'll be doing something completely different.
I mean, we're trying to work a lot of back takes off the leg locks at the moment, so probably won't look very good in sub only, but letting someone sort of start to attack the leg to try to take the back? Yeah.
Interesting.
I know, like, Craig's really good at that, and I'm trying to integrate that a lot. But I probably won't look good in the judge's eyes if I'm dangling my foot for a heel hook.
It's one of those weird ones, isn't it? Like, there's such a variation in the rule set for different. So obviously you've competed in pretty much every different rule set that you can. You know, have you done the EBI rules?
Yeah.
You've done like EBI and obviously Polaris, which you did the last one of, and ADCC and IBJJF as well. Like, which is your favorite rule set?
My favorite rule set is ADCC, but I don't.
In terms of the points, or in terms of the submissions?
No, it's actually my favorite to train for.
Okay.
Because you have to actually train everything. You have to have guard passing, sweeps, wrestling. You have to actually like work your stand up. So
when you train it, do you? So the rules with ADCC is there's no points for the first half of the fight.
Yeah.
And is it the first half of the fight? You can't pull guard. That's not for the first half of the fight though. I think maybe the final. Yeah, that's right.
Which makes it difficult. But that means you have to, if you're in the final and you don't know how to wrestle, you're kind of especially if it's like a opponent that can
wrestle.
Well, or who's it's going to be a pretty close match. You don't want to give up that 1 point. So it's my favorite to train for because it's got everything in it. I just don't like that. I don't like that overtime. I don't like that change they do in the final. I think before that, like I'd like it to be able to, in the first 5 minutes, it's just submission only. Yeah. I'd like it to stay that the whole time, and there's no negative for pulling guard. But that's just my own personal. So you
don't like in the final you've got that negative guard pull for the first 5 minutes as well?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. This is just my opinion, but like, you watch Gabrinya and Huffer Mendez wrestling for 20 minutes, which could have been like the most amazing like ground grappling exchange ever, because guaranteed one of them would have pulled guard if there was no penalty for that, but instead we got them wrestling. Whereas it'd be cool if like it was all a ground exchange and then like it goes to overtime. Okay, if it's even, now we go to overtime and you got to start from standing and get to see that side of it. That would be
it would be. I think with everything, there's always going to end up with every rule set's going to create some good fights and some shit fights. Yeah. Like I don't even know what I do. Like, what would you do if you were creating? Have you run any grappling shows?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my rule set.
Hit me with it.
Yeah, I've never run one. I would actually don't know what it would look like though, so it could be a really bad idea. But I would like to see just points for either passing the guard. Getting side control, mount, or the back.
Okay.
I'd like to see like if they took away points for sweeps and takedowns.
Okay.
I guess my issue with a lot of the current rule sets is that they haven't decided whether the guard is a good or a bad thing.
Sure.
So if I choose to sit to guard, there's no points. So let's say IBJJF.
Yeah.
I choose to sit down, there's no points. You put me there, and that's points. If I choose, but you tap my leg, that's points. But then if I'm on top of you and I want to go to guard, that's points to you. Yeah. It's like we haven't decided, is it a good spot or not?
I think there's always this thing which is, are the rules there to make it like to make logical sense in terms of the fight, or are they there to make it more entertaining?
Yeah.
Because you want people... Yeah, I think if you pick someone up and you slam them, it should be like 10 fucking points. Yeah. if on someone, it should be more points. Yeah. But like it is, the takedown thing is ridiculous. The fact that you get the same number of points for taking someone down the side control than you do for taking someone down into open guard or closed guard is crazy.
I'd like to put 2 points for chest to back as well. So you don't have to get the hooks, just like if you get turtle chest to back. I think
so if you're passing guard and the person turns
there's nothing worse than like how much of a dominant transition was it that they've turtled, you've gone for the back, you got one hook, tried to sink in the choke or whatever, and then they just get out and you get like an advantage for that. So to me, like I would rather that than a guard pass, like I'd rather have chest to back than be in side control personally.
Sure.
Anyway, but back to my my proposed rule.
So you get points for dominant positions.
Yes,
that makes sense.
And that way, I think then. Like some people would still pull guard, you'd see some good takedown exchange. Like, it's basically whatever you think's gonna more likely get you to a dominant position.
Yeah.
So if you got a really good guard, you pull guard and you try to, work towards the back. Obviously, your submissions as well. But you'd also maybe see some cool setups from standing, like trying to like pull guard into a sweep or I don't know. I might be totally wrong though.
Are we ever going to see this rule set?
I don't think so.
I'm going to have to do this rule set for you.
Test it out.
I run a tournament in the UK called Cleo's Grappling, if you haven't heard it.
Nice.
But not a show like it, just a grappling tournament. But I'm trying to convince the guy that I run it with to let me do it one a year.
Yeah.
Where it's just a completely different rule set.
Yeah, cool.
That I just made up.
Yeah.
That could be anything.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah.
The Raptor. The Raptor rules. It's got a ring to it, man.
I might watch it and go, yeah, this is not a good idea. I'm sure there's some serious loopholes in it.
It's such an interesting thing. Like with rule sets, whenever people bring in a certain rule set and they always think it's the best.
Yeah.
Because the first time you use that rule set, people haven't really seen how it works.
Yeah.
So in your head, you're trying to build up like, what is the best thing that I can get out of this rule set?
Yeah.
And then as it goes on further and you start to see stuff and you start to see patterns created and you start to see holes in that, in sort of the gamemanship around that rule set, it actually seems to always plateau out and actually become a bit boring. If you see it with everything, like even like EBI, you'll see it to begin with, everyone's going crazy because they won the $5,000 and and there's always a sub because of the overtime rules. But then people are like, fuck, I'll just chill out till the overtime. I'll just train my back attacks. And then that's it, not even worry about anything else, and then they can get boring. And I think the same thing has happened with Polaris with the no decisions. It's like, oh, we're just going to go for it, try and get the sub, and it's like, fuck it, if I'm going to lose, I'm just going to chill out, and there's not going to be a sub at all. So I think the longer any rule set goes on for, you'll always find someone, how many people have won ADCC without ever scoring a point? That happened.
That's right.
That's happened a few times. I think Orlando Sanchez won ADCC, and I think Calazans won one of his divisions. I think he did weight in absolute. I think he won one of his divisions without ever scoring a point, which is ludicrous. Not having a point.
People will always game the system. You
just got to keep changing it. I say you don't even tell people till the day. I've thought about just hiding the scoreboard as well, so they don't know.
I think that's a good idea.
Don't tell them what it is.
I quite like what they do in ADCC, where the people behind the
the referee isn't scoring.
He's just
the
referee's
there
to make sure everyone's they're focused on resetting the position, because you don't want to be standing there thinking, was that points, when you need to be
exactly, or you're looking up to give the points and then you look down and there's
something's happened,
like something's happened, like, oh shit. Like so many times when I'm reffing, probably shouldn't say this, but I only ref my tournaments now, but so many times when I'm reffing, do you ref as well?
I have before. I can't
do
do it. No,
bad,
I like
I
start thinking in my head about things.
Like,
what if I could
especially
do that
you've been
move?
doing it all day,
and then I'll look back down and I'm like, okay, that guy was on top before, and now this guy's on top. That means it must have been a sweep. And I'll just put my hand up for 2 points. It's like,
literally. And sometimes, like, you've seen something and you've missed it, and you're like, God damn it, I hope someone subs the other person, because I don't want to go to points. I don't know what happened. But I like to think most of the time I get it right. No referee always gets it right. So, but you can never win as a referee. Like, if you do the job perfectly, no one will say anything. And if you do it badly, people are going to give you shit all day. But anyway, man, let's talk about your gym a little bit. So who's teaching there whilst you're away?
Bunch of people. So Ben Hodgkinson, Liv's probably doing most of my classes. My wife.
That's
Liv.
your wife? Okay.
Yep.
Is she a black belt as well?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So she's covering quite a few. We've got Jeremy Skinner, who's a brown belt. Another brown belt who's really good. Ari, might not, Levi Jones Theory. Ari's more of a gi guy. He's doing some of our gi classes, but he's just moved down from Sydney. He was Levi's main training partner, and he's really good, actually. I think he's one that you'll probably start hearing about soon. Hopefully Jeremy too. So
because how long have you had it's Absolute MMA?
Yes.
Yeah. How long have you had it for? I know, like,
so there was
Ben on here, and he told me a bit of the history about it before. But
I've been coaching there for 4 years. So my gym for 4 years. But prior to that, so there was an Absolute in the center of the city. That was the original Absolute. And then I opened up Absolute, which was in South Yarra, with like as a myself partnering up with Absolute to open a gym in South Yarra, which is now in St Kilda.
So that was that was already like a franchise of gyms, or?
Well, I mean, that was just the second one of it. Yeah. Essentially, the idea was I get to focus on teaching jiu-jitsu, and then the Absolute can look after all the stuff I don't want to do, like the admin and staffing and the MMA side of it, which I know nothing about. But because it's an MMA gym. So there's, we have Muay Thai.
Is it still an MMA gym?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
It's primarily an MMA gym?
Yeah, I mean, it's an MMA. I mean, our jiu-jitsu, at our gym in particular.
Which is kind of weird because it's like one of the most famous jiu-jitsu gyms in the world. But yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, to be honest, it comes down to, I think it's from a marketing perspective, I think MMA's searched for, like MMA school is searched a lot more.
Yeah.
So even if people want to do jiu-jitsu, I don't know about you. For me, like when I got into jiu-jitsu, I think I first watched MMA. I probably looked up, MMA, and I was like, I want to learn MMA. And then I was like, oh, this jiu-jitsu is pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
same for me.
I wanted to learn. Actually, I did start with Kung Fu. That was before I.
Let's go into it. So, like, how did you get into martial arts? Like, is that what you started with?
Yeah. So I watched a Kung Fu movie. I was like 13 or 14 at the time, and a Jet Li movie, and I was like, I want to do what Jet Li's doing. That looks pretty cool.
Pretty standard, yeah. So how long did you do Kung Fu for?
Must be a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
And the coach there actually had done a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and we did a little bit of grappling, like as part of, like he kind of taught like a mix sort of thing. And we'd done a little bit of grappling in that, and I always was like, that's the boring stuff. Like, why would you need that? You're
just going to knock him out with that. You're going to hit with the death punch before that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I came across UFC and I saw Royce Gracie.
You're like, okay. That's what happens.
Yeah. But even then, like predominantly when I went to jiu-jitsu, like I was watching an MMA, I was doing like Kazushi Sakuraba and so on. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try and do what he's doing. And I started doing a bit of Muay Thai then as well. Like I think my aim then was like to learn
MMA.
MMA or self-defense. Okay. I never wanted to fight MMA necessarily, but and then I just got kind of stuck into jiu-jitsu from there.
So, was that like that you said that was 16 years ago?
Yeah.
So then you just went with it from there. Like, I don't really know about the history of Australian
jiu-jitsu
grappling.
Yeah.
Like, what's the deal? Like, how old is it? Because you can pretty much trace the British jiu-jitsu back to the first person who came over here with the gi.
Yeah. Well, John Will and Peter Devine were kind of the first two. They went over to Brazil to learn. There might have been some others as well. I know there's like Richard Norton as well. Anyway, they went over to Brazil and sort of came back. I think John Will started out teaching shoot fighting. He wanted to teach it more as a mix between jiu-jitsu and striking, and then I think he started a jiu-jitsu school, whereas Peter Devine kind of came back and just taught jiu-jitsu. So,
okay.
Yeah, my lineage to get my black belt was through John Will, so I got my black belt.
That's who you started training jiu-jitsu?
I got it from John Will's first black belt.
Okay.
Who was John Simon. But to be honest, like throughout my jiu-jitsu career, I ended up like I was training at a place, and then the coach there like left and didn't want to train anymore, so we came under new coaches, and then that kind of happened again, and I don't know, like so. I got my black belt from John. I got my black belt from John Simon, who was coaching me from purple to black belt, but his shoulder was erect and he doesn't train anymore, so he kind of he'd pretty much retired from jiu-jitsu when I got my black belt.
Yeah,
so, now I'm under Tiago, who's the head coach in the city Absolute.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's a third degree.
So that was what I was going to ask. Like, did you have many Brazilians come over to Australia to teach? Because that's one of the things we had. We were really lucky in the UK. We had a lot of really high level black belts come over, like Brazilian guys come over.
There's definitely like a lot of Brazilians, more so in Sydney and Queensland and so on than Melbourne. I think like John Will and Peter Devine were both from Melbourne, so like kind of started out with Australians teaching it, and then there's like John Donahue, which is another one who was pretty early to get to black belt. He brought over a few Brazilians, and then I think some of them started their own schools. So then there is some Brazilians in Melbourne, but it's not quite as much as Sydney.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And then, sorry, how long did you say that you've been coaching at Absolute?
4 years.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's
really?
It's like grown so much. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were training under John Will until the guy hurt his shoulder.
Yeah, John Simon. Yeah, so I got my black belt, and then
how long ago did you get your black belt?
A bit over 6 years. Yeah. And then Liv and I went to Brazil. This would have been about 5 years ago. Liv and I went to Brazil for 6 months, trained at Alliance Sao Paulo, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I kind of, when I was over there, I was like, I think I'll come back and start thinking about opening up a school. And then,
And then connected with Absolute.
So once I got back, that's sort of all.
Wow. And that was only 4 years ago that you opened it.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had like a small gym, and that got super packed. Like, so in 2 years, we were out of there to a bigger gym, and now our one's just like completely packed.
How many, like, if you don't mind me asking, do you know how many members you have?
Yeah, might as well say.
Yeah, go on.
I think like across the jiu-jitsu and MMA and Muay Thai and everything, 400.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of members.
Yeah.
So over a short period of time, like, what's just because I didn't even realize that you'd only been teaching for 4 years.
Yeah.
What's the secret
to
growing it that fast? Yeah.
To be honest, I think a lot of it's. I actually think the main thing's the advertising and the marketing. You know,
do you deal with that?
No, I don't do that. Like that Absolute does.
Okay.
You know, like I think we're in a. Melbourne's a big city, not as big as London, but I think it's getting towards 5 million people in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So you got a pretty dense population, which is always going to make it easier to grow a school. And then like we've managed to get like for our jiu-jitsu has really exploded, and I think that's we've managed to get a good reputation. So
that's
pretty much
just a result of the success that all of your guys have had.
Yeah, I think like combination of like the YouTube channel's been really good, like and just the fact that there's been a bunch of guys from our gym that have had some international competition success. Generally, if someone's moving to Melbourne, the coach will often say, "Oh, go and train at Absolute."
Seems like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, like I mean, we've only got, if you look at our mat, like we've got, usually there'll be. Each class, there's probably like 4 or 5 black belts on the mat, another 6 or 7 brown belts, probably like 10 to 15, this is on an average class during the night, 10 to 15 purples, another 10 to 15 blue belts, and then probably, 10, let's say, actually it depends for the white belts, but another 20 sometimes.
You got a lot of height, on the mats.
But like, I don't think we've got a homegrown purple belt yet. So there's no one that started with us that's got to purple. But we've got like, exactly. Yeah. But that like, so we've got so many people that have just,
so that's
whatever they're...
Because you have obviously like yourself, who's a high level competitor, Craig.
Yeah.
Did Kit train?
Yeah, Kit. Yeah.
And Ben.
Yeah.
Who I know who's just qualified for ADCC.
Yeah.
Liv, your wife.
Yeah.
Like all high level competitors.
Yeah.
What is that? Just like almost like a rolling stone where you have a few high level competitors come together, and then that attracts more high level competitors, and it just picks up more and more. Yeah, simple as that.
And we've even it's been really interesting lately. Quite a few people from Europe that have like come to Melbourne, like for a year or so to train, which is just like amazing.
It's a very long way away.
A guy from Japan just arrived the other day,
really?
So it's really cool to see the momentum building. So
but like, what belt was Craig when he came to Absolute?
He was a purple belt.
Yeah.
So
he'd already won Nogi Worlds at that point.
No, he had he'd trained with us a little bit when he was like he'd come to Melbourne to train a little bit, and we trained together. And I think when he won ADCC trials, he won that as a purple belt. Yeah,
that was for 2015.
Yes, yeah, and I won as well. And I think he was like, okay, I'm gonna
take it seriously.
He was talking about possibly moving to Melbourne, but then he almost opened up a gym in his old town. Like he was actually like, he was like, yeah, spoken to some guy and we're going to open up a gym here.
That might have changed the course of jiu-jitsu history a little bit. Eh?
And we were like, I spoke to Simon, who's like the owner of Absolute, and I sort of said, can we get Craig here? Like he's really good. We need to, can we offer him something? So we offered him like, it was funny because we weren't making, this is even like probably the first 2 years, our gym really didn't make any money. So I wasn't really making any money from the gym yet, but I was like, can we find some work for Craig? So just like, because I knew.
You saw big things.
Yeah.
Was it as simple as that? Like he was super talented as a purple belt and you could tell he was going to be decent?
I could tell he was going to be good. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. The amount of people that you see, that I don't know. I've been training for ages. I feel like my biggest strength is just that I'm consistent. I show up every day. I'm not like the fastest learner of anyone. I always see people, I'm like, man, if you just train more, you'd be kicking my ass. But they don't always put in the same amount of dedication. But yeah, so Craig was one of those people who was extremely talented, but also willing to put in the hard work.
The combination.
A bunch of things came together, and he's.
So do you consider, or does he consider you his coach?
Yeah. But I mean, I use that term loose. I prefer the term like we're training partners. Yeah,
it's like, I mean, because at that level, it's strange to consider that anyone's coaching.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't sit there like. Going,
but he came to you,
Craig. Like
he came to you as a purple belt, right? And you were already a black belt, so there must have been a point where.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point where I was better than him. Not anymore.
And was it you who sort of introduced him to the leg lock stuff, or like how did?
I definitely would have known more about it initially, but not like not so much the modern like I used to play like 50. I was basically playing 50-50 heel hooks until I started to see like Eddie Cummings and so on.
So how did you get into, if you brought that leg lock game to, because now kind of your group of training partners out there are kind of some of the best leg lockers in the world. Like, how did that come to be? Did you discover it somewhere and then bring it back there?
Yeah, I mean, probably Craig has always been someone who watches a lot of footage. Yeah. And I'm the same. We both kind of had that in common. So I think after watching, I think when it really came to light for me was, I remember there's a little bit of hype about the leg locks and the EBI and so on. And to be honest, I was like, I think there was the one where Eddie Cummings and Meow, was it Joao Meow was on it, I think. And I was
one of them.
I was like, I think Joao's gonna wreck these these leg lockers. And they didn't actually meet. I think Joao lost, like he lost in overtime from escape time or something against someone. But
good luck footlocking him.
Yeah.
See his feet?
But I know.
Good luck.
But that's when Eddie Cummings won that one. I was like, okay, like Eddie Cummings won a competition that Meow's in. Like before that, I kind of didn't know if it had been tested against the high. Once I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start.
He is like one of the pioneers of leg locking, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people kind of credit him actually for being pivotal in the creation of Danaher's system.
It's hard, I mean,
it's hard to know.
About that. Who knows? Yeah.
I don't think it's likely that we'll never really know, the truth there. But what's Eddie Cummings up to these days? I know he's training at.
He's training at Unity. Yeah, I don't know if he's still.
I haven't heard him competing
or not. Yeah.
Is he in? Has he got invited to ADCC?
I have no idea. He hasn't.
Have you? Are you going to ADCC?
I haven't been invited. So hopefully, we've got our trials.
Yeah. do you have your trials left or?
Yeah, so that we were supposed to do the Kazakhstan
there was a weird
one.
Thing.
Yeah, which got cancelled.
So there was it was the, what is it, the Asian, is it Asian trials?
The Asia Oceania one.
Trials for which they've always done.
Yeah.
And everyone signed up, everyone went there, and then they were like, there's not enough people, we can't, none of it counts.
They cancelled it a week.
They cancelled the tournament.
A week. Well, they said it's no longer
trials
for a ticket, for a spot. For a spot in ADCC, which was pretty devastating.
Well, it's pointless.
Yeah,
that's the reason you're going.
So luckily I got a call up for Polaris.
I remember they flew you over from Kazakhstan to Polaris. And then they in the end they just had the person who won the absolute.
Yeah, so Ben, because it was weird because I mean, even then I was umming and ahhing about staying because like we hadn't heard anything from ADCC about it, but the guys who were running it were like, we think we're going like if you win the absolute division, we will.
There's a good chance.
We'll put a recommendation to ADCC that you get an invite. I'm like, okay, so like, what? I was like, okay, because I really want. For me, going to ADCC is
the
like
biggest tournament,
yeah. So I wanted to get to ADCC, and then I was like, okay, so like, should I hang around and try and go in the absolute division?
77 kilo guy as well. Yeah. You don't have the best advantage there.
Yeah, but my main thing was like I hadn't heard anything from ADCC itself, just from the
speculation,
the people from the Kazakhstan organization, and I was like, I just didn't think it was anything set in stone, so I figured Polaris would be a better option. Yeah. I mean, Polaris is awesome, so yeah,
of course. And so they're running another trials.
Yeah, so they got one in Japan. There's usually 2 trials, but they've just got the one now.
There's 2 Asian trials usually.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, so there's another opportunity. As long as enough people sign up.
Yeah, I don't know what they'll do. No, I think this one's looking busier. But yeah, this one's in Japan, so Japan's cool. So
Kazakhstan's a very strange place to hold a tournament. Is it not? Like,
yeah,
it would seem to me to make sense to have it in Australia.
Yeah,
right.
It's I can see why it's difficult because like definitely, if you had it in Australia, there'd be a lot of people from Australia that would jump in. But I think it's a hard place to get to. Like it'd be hard for people from Kazakhstan, for example,
to get to Australia?
Just like the visa, they'd probably have to have a good 3 months in advance for visas and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if that's the factor or not. Yeah, they've got in Kazakhstan they actually got a really good organization behind it. Like they run a really cool event. Like it's very well done.
They have a lot of wrestlers there,
and they got a good wrestling background. I think it's still there's not a heap of black belts in Kazakhstan yet, but I do think in 10 years they're going to be pretty scary. One of those countries close to Russia and
monsters,
anything that ends in Stan, once they start getting a good jiu-jitsu culture, it's going to be pretty scary.
Yeah, I'd rather that not happen.
Yeah,
stick to judo and wrestling. And just leave the hugging to us. So this whole time, have you been full-time coaching at Absolute? Because I know you're a physio.
Yeah, when I first opened Absolute, I was also trying to finish my PhD.
Okay. What was your PhD in?
Physiotherapy.
Just physiotherapy in general.
Research project based around knee pain, patellofemoral pain, which is a kneecap related pain.
We will definitely talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that.
If you want to talk a lot about a very narrow subject, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So you were doing your PhD when you started coaching at Absolute?
Yes, yeah. So I think for a good year.
Are you still working as a physio? Or?
A tiny bit.
You're just doing a bit of private work?
Just enough to not forget my
how to
skills.
do it. Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I definitely prefer jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, if you can take... But so...
I'm more of a breaker than a fixer.
Sure. I remember my coach, Nick Brooks, we were out at the World No-Gi, first World No-Gi actually, and he's a small guy. He was fine under 70 kilos or something, and he fought in the absolute division against some American guy, 120 kilos or something, and he Americaned him, popped his elbow out, and gave him his card. He was an osteo, so literally I'll help you out afterwards, literally breaking people and then fixing them. It's good for business if you're a physio and you do jiu-jitsu. You can fuck someone up and then you can fix them afterwards. Never leave.
Yeah.
You have a constant supply of new people.
That's why we've got a lot of members.
Especially you specialize in knee pain and suddenly you start teaching the heel hooks and there's got to be some correlation there.
Yeah.
So did you start training as a physio whilst you had already been doing jiu-jitsu at that point?
So I went straight in after I finished high school. I went straight to university. So I did 4-year physio degree and then worked for a couple of years as a physiotherapist, and then started my PhD. So then I was working. It was technically a full-time PhD, like because you can do it part or full-time.
Sure.
But I did it full-time, but and was working as a physio as well and trying to train. So there's a lot on, actually, when you think about it. It's much nicer now. Yeah. That's finished. And that was 4 years pretty much to
the PhD was 4 years?
Yeah. And then so when Liv and I went to Brazil, I took like a 6-month break from the PhD, and that was actually good because it let me I had a few papers I'd submitted to journals that I had to edit and write up and so on. So I was when I'd train and then I'd go back and I could just chill out and write that. And it was technically not part of my PhD time because I'd taken a break, but I still could get some work done. So
you're pause everything, but still working.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I have a friend of mine who's a physio, and he was super interested in kind of finding out about sort of your physio work, because you don't just work as a physio, but you've done obviously a PhD in specific stuff, and you've submitted papers, and I think a pretty well-known physio. According to him anyway. He uses a physio. I don't know. I don't know anything. This is what I'm just going off of. So it is a really useful skill to have when you're doing something that is kind of I guess all sports are somewhat injury prone, but jiu-jitsu
it's definitely,
especially.
Yeah, it definitely helps. It's hard to, people often say what are your main tips to not get injured, for example, which I think it's a hard one to answer, but being aware of what injuries occur, what structures can get injured, obviously helps, when you're in certain leg entanglement or your arms getting twisted a certain way, just knowing, what potential damage could occur if it twisted too much this way, But I think it's probably, to be a competitor, it's probably better not to know that. I think
you overthink it.
Well, I mean as a competitor, not as a longevity point of view. I'm not talking about longevity, but the meow sort of mentality of I don't care. I'll just it'll heal itself as long as
from a physio perspective. What's going on there? Because it doesn't look like they're allowing it to break because they're going to recover. It seems like they're made of rubber.
Yeah, I mean I think things often will break.
It's just popping.
Yeah.
And they just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
What about Vinny Magalesh? Did you watch him get armbarred at ADCC 2011?
Yeah, that was a weird one, hey?
Because it looked like his arm had snapped.
It's hard to tell without,
assessing
it. The person to ask would be, it was Verdun, was he fighting? Yeah, he'd be the person to ask whether there was any damage done. It looked... He's definitely crazy flexible, but...
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah. It's possible...
The leg locks work?
I don't think it was, super bad damage.
Yeah.
I think...
Because he got
somehow...
When he got out of that, I was assumed that he was going to, do a Jacare Roger, tuck his hand into his belt and fend him up. But he got up, literally shook his arm and carried on fighting.
Yeah, I don't think he got really bad damage from that. Similar with Craig and Gordon, I think it probably, I imagine something popped... I'm not sure, but I'm pretty, I imagine something got injured, but it wasn't you never saw the arm turn, bend a lot past its natural range. So,
no bones were sticking out of it. I know the one that Roger got on Jacare,
that looks nasty.
That fucked him up. He can still feel it now.
Yeah. I don't recommend trying to wiggle out of arm bars when they're on. I kind of feel like that's the point where you go, okay, I kind of messed up. You got my arm extended. That's time to tap, and I'll get better at
black belt Monday or final.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
that you say.
It's hard for me to say. Yeah, in the
same,
moment.
Same for Verdum and Vinny was the final of ADCC.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
What do you say when people are rolling too hard in the gym? You're like, guys, calm down. It's not the final of ADCC.
Yeah,
you can't really say that to them. It's okay, keep going hard. It is the final of ADCC.
You could say, calm down, guys, you barely get paid. Actually, ADCC is much better, but IBJJF.
I'm not sure.
Calm down, you're paid to enter.
Do they still have that? Do black belts still have the pay to enter awards?
Yeah.
Really?
I think if you've won it, you get a free entry or something. If you've won
crazy.
it before.
Yeah. I remember I was there 1 year. I know that obviously the IBJJF have prize tournaments as well now.
Yeah.
But I was there 1 year. Marcelo Garcia was just paying the winners. Out of
Oh, that's right.
like,
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
MG
To
in
wear
action.
a patch. Yeah.
But no, I think it wasn't even the wear a patch. It was just like, if you win the worlds, we'll just give you some money because you deserve it. And I don't know. Marcelo's just a good guy.
I thought he had something where like
It
if
might
you had
be.
an MG in action patch on and you win.
Oh, was that it?
Like,
I thought it was
you win
just
the
he was
worlds,
just giving prize money out from like a third party prize money, which I thought was awesome.
That would have been cool. Maybe it was. I don't know.
I don't know. Marcelo's cool anyway.
Yeah.
I like him anyway. It's good. I was going to ask about sort of the injuries and my first thing was going to be like, do people just ask you constantly to see what's wrong with them?
Yeah, fair bit. Yeah.
I have a friend who's a physio at the gym that I train at, and he made the mistake of telling people he was a physio.
I shouldn't have put that Gordon Ryan video up. It's been
Did you do a physio breakdown of?
No, I just I said like I'm a physio, and
really?
like because Gordon injured his LCL.
Oh,
with
this
that
was the
saddle
recent
entry.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I always thought that saddle entry was a bad idea.
Yeah, I've seen a few people injure their legs going into particular positions.
I mean, I should say as well, I've had surgery on mine. Like when I was 19,
just once,
both knees,
okay.
LCL. Yeah, 19 and 21. So it was before I was a physio. So.
Okay.
Before I was qualified.
But you were doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that was from single leg takedowns. Just like
having
leg
it done
twisted,
to you.
Yeah, leg twisted sideways and popped my LCL.
So that's why the leg came in.
Knee twisted outwards. If that makes sense. Imagine like an ankle pick.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to stay up, and my knees getting. So I learnt the hard way. What direction your knee's not meant to go.
Like, would you say knees is the most common injury for jiu-jitsu?
It's the most common serious injury, I think. Yeah, I mean, most common injury is probably hard to say.
Yeah.
Like, I think like pretty much anyone who's been training for over 10 years will probably have a sore back, a stiff back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying necessarily like
walking
around in agony, but like, if you're
that's just
sitting on the
degeneration
car for a while, you're probably getting a sore back. Like, there's a lot of like loaded flexion in, which some people don't think is too bad, but I think in jiu-jitsu it's a pretty good. Sorry, I'm getting into physio related things.
Keep going.
So that's like a lot of debate as to like whether doing a lot of bending of the back can cause issues, but I would say
that would be
pretty
maybe
much,
like sitting up in guard.
Yeah,
or?
like a lot of sit. I mean, you're either playing seated guard and you're bending, or you're on your back and you're getting stacked. Like where in jiu-jitsu there's a lot of it, and I'd say pretty much most jiu-jitsu people will get some lower back symptoms. Not always. I'm not talking like
I fucked my lower back up, but that was from lifting. That wasn't from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But
I think it's very hard to. I think it's very hard to have a back that's conditioned to bend a lot and also conditioned to lift heavy weights. Like it's almost like
they're
you almost
exclusive.
and trying to do both like heavy weights and
That's
doing like a very flexible game is. I think you're asking two very different demands on the back then, because like if a structure wants to be good at resisting heavy load, it actually wants to be more like stiff and less mobile. So it's a much stronger structure that way. Whereas that is a very poor. If it becomes like more stiff and a more rigid back, then it's not going to withstand a lot of bending as well. So like those bodybuilders, so like those those really thick core.
Yeah,
I think if they try to do a lot of inverting, they're probably going to struggle a lot.
Is that the like just sitting up in guard or like inverting stuff?
It's probably not too bad. I don't think it's too bad. It's probably like it's more like there's a couple of things. There's like is it under load as well? Like when you're inverted and someone's stacking you, that's obvious, and you're pushing, and then you try and push them off you, then there's like heaps of load through your back. Just sitting up in guard's probably not too bad, but if you're then trying to extend against it, that's probably one of the main things I try to do to look after my back. Like obviously I'm going to get stacked and so on, but I try not to push against it. Yeah, I think that's
so you roll through or
frame, try to block their weight a bit with my hands, but not trying to push back with my legs.
Interesting. So like going off of that on a bit of a tangent, but you mentioned kind of inverting or having the mobility to play a lot of inverted stuff, being mutually exclusive to being able to lift heavy stuff.
I mean, you definitely can get away with it.
I'm sure you can.
It's a harder thing to balance.
Talking about that, do you do any strength and conditioning work?
I usually don't. I'm I think it helps. I just don't like doing it.
Okay.
That's my answer. I've always had the mindset that, like, if I work on a technical thing, that will last me. You know, if I improve 1% by improving my technique, that lasts forever. So I now have that 1%, and I can build on that, and that gets me better. I could improve maybe 10% by doing strength training, but then I stop, and then that goes away. That was always my thoughts. So I've never lost a match that there wasn't a technical answer to what could have fixed it. Like, I've never gone away like, I wish I could just throw them off me, in that
helps
scenario. Like, it definitely helps without a doubt. But there's usually something I could have done from a technical point of view to fix it as well. But that said, like, we've got ADCC trials in 2 months. I'll probably get back and I'm going to start doing a bit of a strength program.
But then when you're setting a strength program for that, you're talking a lot more conditioning, because, like, I don't know. When I think strength, I think, like, it's something that you have to train consistently. It's going to take a really, really long time to develop. Like, you're not going to be able to get. You'll be able to get a bit stronger, but
I'm talking about getting
doing some kettlebells.
I'm not talking about like getting strong. Just like stronger.
I saw some stuff recently about, and I don't know whether you've looked at it in your physio research, but the difference in injury prevention from resistance training, strength training compared to mobility work, and actually. I don't have citations here, but strength training actually helping with injury prevention more than flexibility training does. Do you believe in that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah?
I think the things we usually don't want to injure, like, the most are joints and potentially ligaments. Like, ligaments I'll consider joints, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the way you injure a joint or a ligament is taking it beyond its range. It's usually an instability problem, Like, so the more flexible, the more your joint can move, then the less stable it is.
Yeah.
For example, your shoulder. Your shoulder, you can move up, down, left, right. You can rotate it. It's got, like, heaps of mobility.
Yeah.
It's also one of the most unstable joint, like, most commonly dislocated joints in the body, because it's essentially like this ball and socket.
Yeah.
And it's very hard. Like, if it was a really tight ball and socket, it would be stiff, hard to dislocate, like your hip, much harder to dislocate, but it's got less range than a shoulder, which can move a lot. So if you start stretching, you're making it more like whatever you're stretching, whether it's your wrist or your ankle or whatever, you're making it more flexible, easier to dislodge. There's less passive constraints, but that can be an advantage for certain.
It's about having a balance.
Yeah. I think things like, like, if you've got flexible hamstrings, I think generally, like, hip mobility is quite good. If your hips are stiff, then your back's going to take a lot of stress. Whereas if your hips are mobile, you can, start to offload your back a bit.
That's like one thing that I have is, like, my hips are very mobile, but my hamstrings are super tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird combination. I have, like, my back's a lot better than it used to be, but I've had, like, a lot of back problems in the past as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, interesting. So don't get flexible.
I stretch, but more for performance for me than for injury prevention.
You feel it helps?
If I wanted to, like, I think, well, even if you think about, like, if you think about the guys that have quit due to injuries and so on, they're usually, like, the skinny, flexible guy, aren't they? Like, the kind of nuggety. The nuggety guy can usually keep going a lot longer. Yeah. Their joints don't move as much, but it's also harder. They just rarely get as many injuries.
You might get like tightness, a lot more tightness from the lifting or from training hard. But you're not going to get the dislocations or the real bad hyper extended joints and stuff like that. That's interesting. Yeah. I guess then it all comes down to, like, what is more important? Is it performance or is it longevity?
Yeah, and that's very individual. I mean, obviously for probably most of the people listening, it's probably longevity.
Well, what is it for you? Because you're, like, obviously a smart guy.
Probably a little bit of both, Yeah. Like,
you want to be able to compete at a high level, but for a while.
Yeah, if I wanted longevity, I probably wouldn't be competing, Like, if I want to compete, I have to try to push the limits of my my strength and my like, I have to roll harder than I would if I was just if I wasn't competing at all. I'd probably roll a lot lighter pretty much all the time. Just focus on enjoying jiu-jitsu. So you have to kind of push yourself a little bit past what you enjoy to compete.
And like how often, if you look at an average training training week for you, like how often are you rolling? Like what's the schedule look like? Because if you don't do any strength and conditioning, you're just rolling basically.
Yeah, I usually try to do, we do like specific train. We have a pro session pretty much every day at 10 a.m. So we do like probably 40 minutes of specific training, so positional stuff. In that, my focus is not to power anything, like not to, you're basically just you have the same scenario over and over again against your partner, like, trying to take the back or whatever.
You're starting certain positions, or?
Yeah. We mix it up a bit, but I'm trying to focus a lot on scrambles at the moment. I think they're for example, if someone's just turned their back, like, do you take the back or do you miss your opportunity?
Yeah.
Because I think they're the kind of things that win matches or lose matches. Even the ones where, like, even the matches where I felt my opponent's way better than me, I've often had like one opportunity to get them, and if I had have actually like seized on that and been like excellent at that scramble, I still could have won that match, even though if they were dominating the rest of it. So
you don't need to be better at someone to beat them. You just need to,
that's right. You need to take the opportunity when
if someone's very, very good, they might give you one opportunity in a 10-minute match, but if you can take advantage of it, you can still win.
I actually think that's what the Henzo Danaher guys have done well, is they've trained their submissions. Yeah. Like they've started almost at the end point. Like when we get a chance at a submission, we're going to finish. Yeah. And they've gone from that point of view.
Try and get to the position next.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because then it's like you go all the way for the submission and you miss it. It's like, how many times are you going to get that opportunity? Yeah. Yeah. So you want to make sure you finish well.
Like more chaining submissions together as well?
Or? Yeah, I'm doing quite a lot of that, or trying to. I think like the more I'm trying to not specific train static positions. Like I'm stuck on top in half guard trying to free my leg for 5 minutes. Like I probably don't learn a lot from that.
How do you program that into your training? You start, like, when you're saying that you're trying the specific spar scramble positions. Yeah. How does that? What's the protocol for that?
I think it's important that it feels like it would in a real scenario. Yeah. For example, I don't start from like turtle and go, okay, I'm going to try and take you back and you try and get out. Yeah. It'll be like, you're going to give me light resistance and I'm going to try to pass the guard. As soon as I get, like, make it a little bit difficult for me. As soon as I get outside the legs, you're going to start to turn and I'm going to try to chase the back. So
it's like a rolling start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think you'll actually come across the scenario of when it'll actually happen, and you're starting to look for the grips earlier, and I'm trying to do that more.
That's interesting.
That's something I've started doing a bit more recently, but I've felt a lot better having done that.
And do you do that with your normal students as well, or just the pro team?
More with the pro team. Yeah. It's like it depends what class. In an intermediate or advanced class, I'm fine to do that. For a fundamentals class, like
that's the 3 splits that you have.
Yeah, we've got 4. We've got intro, which is like first 8 weeks or so. Then fundamentals, which is kind of aimed at white belts, but everyone comes to that. Yeah. We're trying to limit the numbers in that one, actually, because it's usually our busiest one. Yeah. And then
that's the right mentality. Everyone wants the fundamentals.
Yeah. No, it is good. I mean, yeah, it's always hard when you have like a bunch of, you got a few brown and purple belts in your fundamentals class. It's hard not to teach to them and keep it like focused on the newer people. But yeah, that's why I've written out I didn't like the idea of like
syllabus.
Actually, we do have a syllabus, but actually now I've written out like a class plan as well for the fundamentals. Just like, I wrote down, okay, what do I want a blue belt to know? And it actually ended up being quite a lot. But so basically, like over a full year, pretty much, like you don't get the same class. Well, I'll stick with the same class for the full week. Like I'll kind of keep on that theme.
Yeah.
And sometimes the theme will, and it might be over 3 or 4 weeks that the theme is somewhat similar. It might be like recovering to half guard, then using the half guard sweep, and then going from half guard to open guard. That could be like 3 weeks in a row or whatever. But yeah, kind of pretty much over a year. The more I coach, the more I think the longer you spend on a theme, the better.
100%.
Yeah.
I spend we just finished the back position. I finished the back position last week.
Yeah.
And we were looking at that from middle of December.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 months.
That's good. Yeah.
Just from the back. Like there are people who've been started training in January and they literally don't know any other position apart from the back. But I think
that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, because there were times I've trained at gyms where every class you'll teach like an armbar, a guard pass, and a takedown.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? How?
Yeah.
Like,
there's no depth.
There's no. But like, like, what did you do today? Jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Whereas when you stay on the same position, I'll stay on pretty much minimum for 6 weeks if it's a simple position.
Yeah,
like,
that's good.
Or a month, like if I'm doing just triangles.
Yeah.
Just triangles for a month. Like 2 weeks, like a week of sit-ups, 2 weeks of attack, and a week of escaping, or sometimes it can go longer depending on how fast people pick stuff up. But you almost force everyone to get obsessed with the one position.
Yeah.
And people get really good at it really quickly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like you especially with the back stuff, it was about 6 weeks in where just one day, like everything clicked for everyone in the class.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now you guys look like you're doing this really well. And had we done it for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, actually that moment might never have come.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So I'm now writing the same thing for our
purple belts.
Yeah, for our like intermediate and advanced one. Like just like at the moment, like that's been really good that the fundamentals have been structured like that. But usually for the intermediate, I've been like, oh, what am I wanting to show today? But that's not as good as having.
That's what I used to do. Like,
it's not. It's better when I think like you want times to show like, oh, this is a new thing I'm working on, and or that I've found a lot, because you want people to see that, or I saw this in this match on the weekend, and this is a really good technique. Like you want to have time available for that.
But I think that's like after sparring class.
Yeah.
Or like after the class is finished and you just have a few people sticking around because and who are interested in seeing that, like you'll just show one person something and then everyone will come and circle around and or you'll talk to someone about it, or you'll come in one day and just before class be like, look, check this shit out. This is really cool. But I've been teaching for maybe 11 or 12 years, like a really long time. And up until 3 years I've had like this program where I've been teaching 4 or 5 times a week. Before that I was just teaching once a week. I'd literally come in and be like, what do you guys want to do today? What do you want to do? We'll want to do psych and drill skates. Cool, we'll do psych and drill skates. Like there's no connection with it whatsoever. But like what can you do with one class a week? Like we only have one no-gi class a week, which I think is pretty common. But now you've got a lot more. You can actually have some sort of structure to it.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's interesting that you've got a list of techniques. For like so do you when you grade people, do you make them demonstrate the techniques?
So that's slightly different. So there's the techniques that like there's kind of what I want people to have learned. And then we have a syllabus from white to for white belt all the way to second stripe on blue belt. For each stripe, I get people to
do demos.
Show,
Interesting.
It's good. It's really good. I used to be. A lot of people are anti that.
Well, it's really it's almost so old school jiu-jitsu that it's bordering on traditional martial arts.
Yeah.
Like having a syllabus and having people show you stuff is what you would have done at kung fu class.
Yeah.
It's
I think it's good for a couple of reasons. One, it means I actually get to sit down and because there's a lot of people and I don't always get to like sit down and just make sure. But people can. What I've noticed with it is people can go to class and kind of cruise by and not really have a, like often, you'll show a bunch of details and they don't really get them all a lot of the time. And they think they think, oh, that's good. Near enough is good enough. But having the syllabus, like I kind of grill them a little bit on it. I'm like,
do you ask them questions about the technique?
Yeah. Like, you didn't put your hand there. What, like what's, what could they do from that scenario? But making sure that they tick all the boxes, I think it sets up a good mindset.
Yeah.
So then you're like, oh, okay, actually,
Be
like if you
focused
do
on
it,
everything.
Yeah, like if you do it right, it's a lot better than kind of like near enough is good enough, which I think a lot of people will get. I see it like I see that a lot. Like when I grade someone between their first stripe, because they usually the first stripe.
You grade for every stripe.
Yeah, each stripe. Yeah.
So is that purely based on knowledge, or is that based on time?
A bit of both. Yeah.
So I believe like for white belts every 3 months of consistent training.
Yeah, we do every 6 months.
for per stripe. So you're looking at 2 years to blue.
Yeah, 2.5.
2.5. Wow.
Yeah,
it's good, man. Like I
kind of just like
I dig that. I think there's nothing like you can never give someone too late. Well, you can, but it's better to give someone slightly too late than slightly too early, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of just divided it up. I think if you let's say your average black belt is 10 years, then there should be about 2.5 years per belt.
Yeah,
I know some people do like faster to blue and
like
longer on purple or whatever.
1 year. I think blue to purple is the longest belt for a lot of people, and purple to brown is long, and then brown to black is often quite short.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the IBJJF, they have like a minimum.
Yeah.
For everything.
Yeah, but I mean that's like for people who are freaks, right? that like I always like for me, if it's like someone who's winning everything and I literally they can't get a challenging match, then I'm like, okay, I'll grade you earlier, but generally I'd rather. So
will you grade when you grade people for stripes, is that at a grading event or is it just in class?
It's just like no, it's in the weeks leading up to the grading. Like they just book in a 10-minute, 15-minute time slot, and
you grill them on the syllabus.
Yeah, just get them to show me.
And then if they do everything, then at the grading in a few weeks' time, they'll get.
I usually give them the stripe.
Okay,
just there.
So it'll be before belt grading.
Yeah, the belts are at the grading. Yeah, so the kind of the
that's
stripes.
Interesting. I've not heard that before.
The stripes are based on technique, like just technical knowledge, and the belts
have to be skill
from skill.
Yeah. Okay, very interesting. And that just goes up to mid-level blue, which kind of makes sense. Past that level.
After that, I'm kind of like, work out your own game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You don't need me that much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, I think you know, sometimes people come from other gyms and they've already got stripes and so on, but I do think you notice, like I'm not looking at, it's not like a super weird one. It's like, show me a knee through pass, like it's like I wouldn't want someone to get to blue belt and not be able to demonstrate it.
I think like sometimes someone can be really good when they're rolling and you just like realize they have no idea what they're doing from this position. They're completely clueless. Like the number of people that I talk to who can't do a triangle properly, or can't do an armbar properly, like it's staggering. Like high level guys, where they never have to, or they never get into X position, so they never have to worry about it. And then you see them try and do it, and they literally have no clue what's going on. It's like kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a way of making sure that all bases are covered from a very basic level to begin with.
Yeah.
Which is quite important. Okay, that's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, that's about your training stuff. Let's go back to your physio stuff a little bit more. I know like people will bother you and ask you like, what's the most common injuries and how like do all that stuff. We don't really want to do too much, but is there obviously someone who is educated deeply in the human body and from an injury perspective, and therefore because injuries are connected to performance, like if you're operating on a suboptimal level physically, then your performance is going to be suboptimal as well. Is there any other stuff that you do in terms of like training, prehab, diet, nutrition, supplements, anything like that kind of using some of the knowledge that you've picked up working with the body to help it with the jiu-jitsu performance?
Okay, so it's an interesting question. Like obviously those things are all important. When you look at the research, it's quite interesting. It's pretty much impossible to predict injury based on like physical parameters.
Okay.
So you look at someone's flexibility, their strength, their range of motion or height or whatever you want to look at. Like it's next to impossible to predict injuries
based
on that.
Yeah.
The best predictor by far of injury is
sleep.
I mean, all that stuff's important. Yeah. The best predictor by far is a change in training load.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's two types of injuries. There's injuries where like you twisted your knee the wrong way, or like a traumatic injury, and then there's overuse injuries, which is usually like your back, you know?
Yeah.
You go to do a double leg takedown, nothing was like twisted or anything.
It's like a little tweak.
Just your back gets injured from that motion, and that's probably more. It's more a case of your back was either overloaded, you know, over the last however many months or even years of training, like it was building up to the point where
it was going to go.
That movement, you know, it was enough to injure it. But you can decondition really fast. Your body can, like, 2 weeks off. You see it like, I don't know if you've seen people's knees after they've had surgery, for example, or their quads. Yeah. How much they lose their quadriceps muscles. Like,
is like if there's no stimulation in the muscle, exactly. Like it will atrophy for energy really quick. Right?
Yeah. But it's the same
like
thing.
When people have forearm casts on and they come out and their wrists are tiny.
Yeah. But it's the same thing with pretty much everything in your body. Like, it adapts to the load you placed on it.
Yeah.
Think about if you put the gi on. Do you train gi at all now?
I'd say once a quarter.
Yeah. And I bet you get like calluses on your hands.
Not calluses, they feel like shit. I hate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I train grip like 3 or 4 times a week, outside of, obviously you're still training grip when you do no gi, but it's just a very different kind of grip.
Yeah.
But I'm doing grip stuff outside of that regularly. But when I put my hands, like when I train gi, it still feels like shit.
Yeah. I mean, even for me, if I started doing spider guard for 2 weeks, my hands would probably be bleeding by the end of 2 weeks. You know, whereas if I did it consistently, that wouldn't happen. So that's a change in load on my skin, essentially. Now, so skin adapts, but just like your joints.
I say that to people. It's like wild. It's wild. Like literally anything. When people start training, they'll have like bruises and they'll have the gi rashes and stuff like that. And go, look, you're going to train jiu-jitsu, like your skin will get stronger. Yeah. Like every single thing physically about you will get stronger.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the same. So ligaments, your muscles, your cartilage, which is a lot slower to adapt to load, tendons, everything can adapt to load. So the biggest predictor for injury is that someone's gone from low load to a high load, and often it's not immediate. It's often, in a lot of sports, it's like 6 weeks. 6 weeks later.
Okay.
Like
which makes it really hard to connect the two.
Yeah, exactly. And people are like, they attribute it to something else.
6 weeks later after the change in load.
Yeah, I mean, it can be any time, but I think so if you look at if your weekly this is what sport was it in? I think AFL football, Australian rules football, but like it kind of transfers across. They found very similar things across a bunch of different sports. But if your weekly training loads, if you're measuring how hard the session was multiplied by time, so you kind of rate it out of on a scale of 10, for example, multiplied by how long the session was, and then you kind of add them up throughout the week. If your weekly training load was 30% more than your monthly average, then I think for the next 2 months you're more, considerably more likely to get an injury. I can't remember the exact stat.
If you stay on 30% more, or if
even just from that, yeah.
If you have one hard week training, you're basically in the danger zone for 2 months.
You've pushed.
Wow.
Because now your tissue's in it's now.
That's like a connective tissue thing and a muscular thing, opposed to
whatever.
Opposed to a nervous system thing, or
yeah.
Interesting. So what's the answer to that? Like, you have someone who has a competition coming up, and they want to start. They're not full-time athletes, and they want to up their training for the next 2 months before the tournament. Is the answer don't? Because you probably
really? Yeah. Well,
wow.
No, it's just like for me, I would do like the more intense the rounds are, the shorter my session should be. So then, because remember, it was multiplied by time. So if it was.
So when you say time, would you track it over the number of rounds? So like,
let's say my average roll when I'm not preparing for a comp is I'd say a 6 out of 10. Like it's hard. I'm getting tired, but not like wrecked.
Yeah.
And I'd roll for an hour like that. Whereas I could go to a 9 out of 10 and make it extremely difficult, but I'd have to, I'd want to cut that back down to a 40-minute session or something. You could even go less than that. So I'd approach it like that.
It's quite hard to track, isn't it? Because
a lot of people, like if you go to, because I've worked with, as a physio, I worked with Melbourne City Football Club. Like they're affiliated with Manchester City, like the same owners, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but like, so, there's like
rich people.
Yeah. And, they'll track, like every player has to, like after every session, we'll be putting in like how hard was the session. Like they've got all this data.
I know a lot of them have like GPSs.
Yeah, exactly.
When they train to see how much they've run and stuff like that. Like it's very difficult for jiu-jitsu though, because
it's very hard. Yeah.
Because you could roll 6 rounds in a day.
Yeah.
And have 2 rounds where you're balls to the wall.
Yeah.
Actually against someone that isn't even that good because you're going really hard.
Yeah.
And then you can have 2 rounds which are going to be a lot easier because actually you're just chilling out. It's a really hard one to track anything off.
It's obviously pretty general, but these sort of things are much more predictive of an injury than like whether your hip rotation is 30 degrees or something compared to 10 or something.
That's really interesting. Yeah. So the answer kind of from practical is like if you're going to roll hard, roll less.
Yep. Essentially. Yep. So so that's how I approach it. And then probably
or if you
and I pretty much try to keep my training consistent.
Yeah.
Like even though I'm injured, I try. I think you'll see people who get injured and then they have like a month off.
Yeah.
And then they come back. They're completely deconditioned to jiu-jitsu.
And they're going to try and go back in at the same rate.
And they get injured again. Like I've seen that happen so many times. Yeah. For me, if I get injured, if it's my shoulder, I'll find a way to train, but just like, even if I have to tie my arm up or whatever, just like, just keep training, keep moving.
Well,
as long as you can.
Shoulder's one that you can, but like, let's say you injure your knee.
Yeah.
You're going to roll with one leg?
I mean, I start from the back. And I'll just do training from like...
Because I've done shoulders before, and like hand in the belt and stuff.
Yeah, I mean...
That's doable.
Obviously, like, there's obviously times when you can't too. Yeah. Like Gordon Ryan's in a wheelchair at the moment or whatever he was...
How bad is that injury?
LCL. Oh, he's had LCL surgery. It's a decent injury, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a good leg.
How long is he going to be out for?
The fastest possible recovery for that would be around 4 months, but I don't think he'll be ready. That'd be back to training, not really back to... Not back to...
Even with his help?
Oh, I have no idea. Yeah. Not sure about that. But it could be up to, like I think 6 months till he's rolling.
Really?
Like rolling and feeling good about rolling.
Oh shit. That's going to take him maybe past September.
Close to it. Yeah.
Do you think he'll be ready for ADCC?
I think he will be considerably less confident with his knee than he would want to be. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I'm saying that because I've had LCL surgery. I've had the same surgery.
Was it a reattachment or?
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. It's actually, it was weird. I'm pretty sure he got a reconstruction.
Okay.
He said that in his post, which is so
that's a bigger.
Yeah, so they would have probably taken his
hamstring,
his hamstring tendon, and made a new LCL.
Wow.
Which I don't think that's necessarily better. Mine was repair. So
they just
essentially, if they get into it early enough,
they
can take the thread that's off and basically bolt it back on or sew it together or whatever they have to do. But yeah, so I know, like confidence-wise, it was at least a year before I felt comfortable competing.
Wow, that's a big injury.
But I wasn't at that stage. I wasn't super competitive. Like, so I was kind of like, it doesn't matter if I take a bit longer with my rehab. Like, I think he'll be.
How long
is he going to be in a
wheelchair for? Like, how long is he going to be not standing?
I'm trying to think. Mine was. I don't know why is it. I was able to weight bear with a walking stick, but because he's had the reconstruction, it might be a little different. But mine was 6 weeks with a big brace on and actually it might have been 6 weeks. Yeah. No, it was 6 weeks non-weight bearing. That's probably why
So
I was in the
crutch
wheelchair.
or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 6 weeks partial weight bearing. So I had the brace on, but I had to have like a walking stick
Yeah.
on the other hand just to offload it a bit. And then after that, so that's basically 12 weeks before you can really
Walk.
do like proper
Unassisted,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
So then think about the amount of time you have to.
That'll be
then you gotta
really
then you gotta get back
interesting
in.
to see whether he tries
Yeah.
what that recovery from the injury is like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just totally guessing. It could be. Yeah, I don't know.
Now's the time for Craig
Yeah.
Jones to get.
Yeah, as I said to Craig, you wanna be his first match back.
I've seen so many of those memes now. Have you seen
yeah.
those?
Yeah,
The memes about Craig
Poor
Jones, just like
Yeah.
can be everyone apart from Gordon. He's fought him twice, right?
3 times. I
3
think.
times.
Yeah.
Do you fight him at ADCC?
Fought him at ADCC.
How do you
Fought
beat
him.
him?
Craig was doing really well against him in ADCC, and then Gordon like started to close in for a pass, and Craig tried to do a no-gi Ezekiel choke, like like this, and then that gave
Yeah.
Gordon the mount.
And he
And
won.
I was like-
he
I was
won on
like-
the mount position.
I was like, "No, Craig, don't."
Yeah.
I was crashing. I'm like, "Don't," and then like
yeah.
it looked like it might have been on, and I was like, "Go for it!" But then
yeah.
he said, "Yeah, I think it was actually like reasonably close, but I think Gordon's pretty hard to get.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, he's like not just his attacks, but his defense is supposed to be incredible.
Yeah, he's not been submitted by many people.
Yeah. In fact, has he?
He's been submitted by
Oh
Philippe.
yeah, Philippe. Yeah, from the back. Yeah,
Yeah. That was a no time limit match, wasn't it?
yeah,
Apparently he was ill as fuck, which I kind of believe to a degree, but Penn is also the best in the world.
yeah.
Like ADCC champion. Yeah, he fought him there. He fought him at EBI.
And then at Quintet,
And then at Quintet.
Yeah.
Quintet, he did a similar thing, I guess. He
he
said,
went for the guillotine, and then
which was the same thing, which is like, don't do that. And then
Yeah.
you think he's going to get it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck, go for it. And then
Yeah.
he said that he could keep Gordon in the knee shield all day long if he needed to.
yeah,
But because all we needed was for Craig to take him out. He didn't need to sub him.
yeah,
Just to stall out for 8 minutes.
yeah. But he wants that. He
Yeah.
wants that.
Well, I think he was. I don't know. I think he would have been happy to stall it out because he's always just sacrificing the team to try and get the glory. But
Yeah.
I think he was happy to do that because I think we had Shaolin and Gregor
Yep,
to only take out Faber.
yep,
That would have been it. We would have won that. But he said, he went for the guillotine, and because he went for the guillotine, he lost the knee shield,
Yep.
and then it was downhill from there.
yeah,
He looks like he's got some fucking horrible pressure.
yeah.
Now he's like 110
Yeah.
kilos, fucking
He looks strong.
jacked to fuck.
He's doing good. He's
Do you think Craig gets him? Maybe after this knee injury.
I think he can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, yeah.
Craig's looking pretty
I
big
don't-
as well
It's,
these
it's
days.
very hard for me because I've never trained
Yeah.
with Gordon
Yeah.
or anything. I only I know he's amazing, but I've never seen anyone like Craig in terms of like I've rolled with a lot of high level guys, but like when Craig's like on,
Yeah.
I really feel like he doesn't. His competition self is still not quite as good as his
Really?
as he's rolling. Yeah, yeah, which is scary.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
What? That is really strange. Because I don't think there's anyone else that has beaten him.
Craig,
Yeah.
not like
Not
convincingly,
recently.
Yeah,
Like Keenan. Keenan beat him at ADCC? Or who? No.
Keenan beat him at ADCC.
Yeah,
but
he did.
He got that one back at.
He got that one back at Polaris.
Yeah. Now there's in Kasai, Mike Perez, I think. So he's got that rematch.
Oh, yeah.
And
Did Mike Perez tap him? He beat him on points?
he beat him on points. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did like a wrist lock that I think got him an extra point or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. No, but Craig's he's looking better, and
Yeah.
he's a freak.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You got a match coming up in
Yeah.
What do you have any matches before then?
So I got the ADCC trials.
When's
and
that?
I'll probably try and do a bunch of comps in the lead up to that as well. That's on May 12th.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, pretty soon.
Yeah, 2 months pretty
Yeah.
much. So
And then any other super fights, Kasai or anything?
no, it's just
You got Grapple Fest in
I
the
got
UK.
Ross. Yeah.
I said you just trained with him today.
Yeah.
What is it with you Australians and wanting to train with people before you fight them? Craig
don't know.
Craig Jones was in fucking Vegas training with Gordon and Faber the night before we were gonna fight them.
Yeah,
motherfucker.
I don't know. I kind of like if you could, in my ideal world, like the role Ross and I just had would be like amazing to watch.
Yeah.
You know, as a show. I hope it looks like.
Was
it
good?
You know? It was an awesome role.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was really cool. So like, for me, like I feel more comfortable having, like, you know, I'd rather roll someone, get all the.
That sounds like some smack talk.
No, but I think
you're just like now I've rolled with him. I feel pretty good.
No. That's right. I definitely didn't mean it like that. No.
I'm taking the piss.
No, just like I feel like once you kind of know what the positions you're going to go, what to expect, you can then like be a bit more.
It's an interesting one because I think he has a very similar game to you.
Yeah, there's some things that are quite similar. So yeah, similar body type as well.
Are we just going to get a leg lock battle? Do we reckon?
I won't give away my strategy. No,
you just roll with him. You just roll with him earlier today.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
It's a good match.
It'll probably, Ross will probably pull guard before I will.
Yeah,
you know, I'm happy to play from guard, but I usually like to.
He said, Ross, He said, Ross, you're a bitch, and you're going to pull guard.
I usually like to play around standing a bit before, just to see, you know.
Do you do much in terms of the way of wrestling training?
Yeah, I do heaps of wrestling training. Yeah.
Do you say hipster?
Heaps.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's like hipster wrestling training.
We've got an Uzbekistani coach. Actually.
Okay, nice.
He's great.
Yeah,
really
because I know Craig's wrestling's got a lot better in the last couple of years, and
he barely trains it.
Do you not do that much?
Yeah,
but he's a lot bigger as well.
Yeah,
like last time I saw him, he must be weighing close to 100 kilos, high 90s for sure.
Yeah, I'll say he's 100 just to stir him up.
I don't know. Is he
whenever he's always like, "Oh, I'm only like 85."
Bullshit.
after a roll, he's joking. He's just like trying to stir me up.
Yeah.
We have a roll and I can't. He'll grab my arm and like put it behind my back, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know. It's not that much of a weight." Yeah, right.
No, he's a pretty big dude. He was pretty much like, he was over. I think he was heavier than me at the first quintet.
Yep.
Yeah. And then he was dropping like 6 kilos to fight 2 days later. Some ridiculous shit like that, which I don't know how he does. What other stuff do we have here? One sec. I actually I have a question from Craig Jones.
Oh no! Okay.
Yeah, he said, "Who do you love more, your wife or your Nintendo Switch?"
Definitely my wife.
What is that about? Do you love your Nintendo Switch?
It's good for traveling.
He said he was going to send me some more, but he didn't send me any more.
That's the best he had. I thought you were going to do better than that, Craig. Jeez.
He was too slow with it, man. He said he was going to send some more, but he didn't get any more through. So you've got. Do you have any other super fights lined up apart from Ross?
Nah, just that at the moment.
Because that's an interesting one. Because that could have been the Polaris welterweight welterweight title there, and that whole thing was strange. Because not a single one of the competitors in the first round ever went to the final. Well, no. You were in the first round, but it like changed about 5 or 6 different times. It was crazy. Do you have any competitors that you want to go against? That you haven't been against, or that you have been against and you want to rematch with?
To be honest, anyone, like, you know, any of the top guys. I've never fought Lucas Lepre. I'd love to fight Lucas Lepre, but I'm hardly in a position to call him out.
Sure.
I'd have to have a good winning streak before I could. I'd like to roll with the better the opponent is, the better for me. Except JT Torres, I fought him 3 times now. So yeah.
JT's a freak.
Yeah,
he got. I assume he's back defending the 77 kilo title at ADCC.
Yeah,
that's going to be. He's super tough.
Yeah,
doesn't seem to compete that much no gi, does he?
He doesn't like do that. He doesn't do that many comps generally. Actually,
that's what I'm thinking. You don't
just shows up and
he just shows up at ADCC.
The ones that really matter. He kind of shows up,
smashes everyone.
Yeah. I feel like he could. I don't know. He must just be happy with what he's got, but because he could be doing lots of super fights and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say you don't see him doing that many.
Yeah.
I see him do a few. I think I'm trying to think whether they ever had him over for Polaris.
Yeah,
have they had him over for Polaris?
I don't think so.
I think they've definitely looked into having him at Polaris. But he doesn't seem to compete that much. But when he does, he just pretty much destroys everyone.
Yeah,
he's super good. And then okay, so that's you in terms of competing. Is a very diplomatic answer and just anyone who's good.
Yeah.
You don't have your eye on anyone.
Not really. Like, My main goal is I'd like to do in ADCC. That's probably where I'm.
Have you been to ADCC twice?
Yes.
Okay. And how'd you do? So you did
the first time
13 and 15. No, sorry, 15 and 17.
Yeah, I lost to Dorino in my first ADCC.
So now you've trained the leg lock since then.
Yeah.
Surely Dorino is the guy that you want to fight in the
I was still working at. It'd be cool to have a match with him again. In that match, I was trying to get to the legs against him, and that's actually what my undoing, because I think it was like I knew he was a better wrestler than me. I've worked a lot on my wrestling since then, but I knew he was a better wrestler than me, and it was like at the 9-minute mark, it was 0-0 at 9 minutes, and I was like, if I don't submit him in the next minute, I'm going to struggle to win, have a way to win this. So I think I went for a leg, I tried to reach for his leg when it wasn't there, and he took my back and then armbarred me. So that was
it's crazy. At that level, you just need to make half of a mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's game over for you.
So that sucked. And then I fought JT Torres at last ADCC.
Yeah, that's a bad draw.
Overtime.
First fight.
Yeah. First fight.
And you took it to overtime.
Yeah, it was. I lost by takedown in overtime.
Wow, but, that's not bad.
It was a good match. Yeah, it was. Again, he was definitely pushing the pace, and quite. I spent a lot of the time recovering and framing, but I was able to stop my guard getting past. He almost got my back. Had I think he had 2 hooks for a second. I pushed one off and span out again. And then he got a takedown in regulation before points were scored.
Yeah.
And then went in overtime.
Yeah. And then one of the things we're talking about your gym earlier, and obviously talking about you competing at the highest levels of competition, ADCC and stuff like that. How do you balance these two things?
Like the coaching and the
yeah.
I mean it's hard. I think I could definitely, if I was just a full-time jiu-jitsu athlete, I could probably schedule my training a little bit better, because I often try and train
during classes.
That's why I do as well, which is good, but I actually just think that the ideal training session is not necessarily a structured class. For an individual who knows what they need to work on and exact the positions they need to train.
Yeah.
I feel like they'd be best off finding someone who's good at giving counters to that, or whatever the right level of resistance is for that, and then they train with that training partner from there. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. I try to structure our pro sessions. I often do give a little bit of ability for people to work their own. I'll say first we're going to work from the back. The next thing we're going to do, you're going to do you choose the position you start from. So start thinking about that now, and when we get to the next round, go from there. So just so that we do get that, because I think self-directed learning is pretty important in jiu-jitsu.
Once you get to a certain level,
there's no two competitors that really have the exact game. There's always little things that and that are working on, usually not working on the exact same thing. So, yeah. But that's why I choose positions that I think everyone should be good at, going for the back. It's no one in jiu-jitsu is I don't need to
the
know.
back's the best position in jiu-jitsu, gear, no gear, and you should be able to get there and finish people from there.
So I try to choose things like that I think are pretty universal when we do our specific training.
And in terms of sparring versus drilling, which camp are you leaning more towards? Because it sounds like the specific, super specific sparring stuff is a lot more important.
That's what I think.
Do you do any drilling or?
Not as. I probably should do more actually.
That's I
don't like the partner doesn't do anything and just drill. I think that's good if there's a move you don't know.
Yeah.
But I think I really think specific training, but there's probably just levels to that, you know.
Because you'll have like the Neil brothers who will drill for like 7 hours a day.
I mean, to be fair, pretty much everyone I know that does that is really good.
Well, if you have 7 hours a day to do jiu-jitsu, you're probably going to be good.
Yeah, that's the question is it the
best use of your time?
Or is it that a person has enough dedication that they're, you know, and they're going to also be doing everything else necessary to get better as well.
But like Kit was one of the first people who was just like, no drilling, like anti-drilling.
Yeah.
Did he didn't start with you, did he?
No, he was he started somewhere in Ringwood or something, and then moved to Beans, and then we started training together.
Was he the same belt as you?
So he owned the Absolute, where I teach at. Sorry, I should have given this sense of the backstory. So he was, because he started a gym in Melbourne. I had a bunch of good guys to train with there, and I think that had been going about 6 months, or maybe a bit longer. But that's when Kit, I think he started to focus more on acting and kind of lost a bit of interest in the coaching side of things.
Yeah.
So he basically didn't want to run it anymore, and that's when
we
took over that, like as Absolute.
Yeah. Okay, so Kit was actually there first, and then he just carried on. He carried on training with you.
So then when he was kind of going between the states. I think he went to the states for a bit, came back. He's there at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And is he training much or?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. He got invited to ADCC, so he's.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Motherfucker.
Kit he's for the amount he trains, like the amount of work he has to put in to get good is crazy.
Really?
Like, yeah, his brain works really well for it.
Really?
It's hard for me to say whether it's like, it's probably a bit of both, but like the way he like the stuff he talks about and the way he looks at jiu-jitsu, it's like it works so well for him. I don't know if it's for everyone gets that out of it, but
based,
like,
or?
Yes, yeah. He's very good at problem solving. And he you know, like there's a lot of things that I do that I learnt from Kit that,
like what?
I don't know how he even came up with it. Like a lot of positions he would just like, you know, you'd be going for a sweep and he'd just kind of like lie down on his side but hold your leg. He's like, yeah, if you can't get that leg back, you're not getting up. And then so I'm going for the sweep and he's holding my leg, and I'm like, for me to commit to this sweep, I'm gonna have to give him an opening to then like counter. Like, just things I was like, when you first see it, you're like, surely that's a bad idea to lie down on your side. You know, like he can kind of.
It's like counterintuitive.
Yeah,
there's a reason you're doing it.
Yeah, but he's very good at seeing that sort of stuff. Like very lateral thinker.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He's really good though. Like
Yeah, I haven't seen him compete in a while. I think, did he fight Lanaka last?
He beat Tommy. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought you said last, not lost.
Yeah. No. The last person he fought was Tommy Lanaka.
No, he did No-Gi Worlds as well. He lost to Hinger by advantage.
He's a beast.
Yeah,
he's very good.
Yeah.
This ADCC 2019 is looking shaping up to be a really good one.
Oh yeah.
It really is like the best. It is the best tournament in the world. You can't compare.
I think a lot of it is also like the mixing of weight classes.
Yeah,
you got a large gap, so now you got people, because it's almost like light and middleweight, and now together. You know, like my one's now light and middleweight. You know,
IBJJF is 12 kilos, and like it's 6 kilos between each weight division.
Yeah, ADCC.
So it's
11.
12.
Yeah.
And ADCC is 11.
Yeah.
And the difference is there's day before
morning or something.
Day before morning and the next day.
Yeah.
So actually, there's even less weight cutting than like you have to be that weight. You can't cut any weight.
Yeah,
that's brutal. Because they used to have it would have been before you did it.
Yeah,
they used to do a day before weigh-ins, and that was it. You just weigh in once.
Yeah,
and then Pablo Popovich won 77 kilos, and they were just like, okay, we're gonna do weigh-ins not just on the day, but the day before, the day of, and the second day. So you can't even rehydrate properly on the first day, which is wild. But that's shaping up to be a really, really exciting ADCC. I'm going to qualifiers as well.
Awesome. Cool.
In April.
Yours is soon. Yeah. What date?
27th April.
Nice.
So it's kind of a few weeks before yours. Actually, but I was going to go to the one that Ross went to, but it's the same weekend as Quintet.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was like, ADCC trials or Quintet.
Yeah.
Had to go for quintet.
Yeah.
Had to do it.
It's a pretty cool event.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a good one, actually. Have you had like any of those style tournaments in Australia yet?
Actually, I think as we speak, there's probably being one like a guy's running like a purple belt one at our gym.
As soon as they ran that first one, we had loads of them popping up over here.
I think it's a really cool
way of doing it. I think that
I'd love to get a team absolute. We could make a really cool team. But
I remember. You would do. Yeah, you can't take Craig though.
We have to get.
You can't. You can't. He's on Team Polaris.
Shit. Yeah, but you can do a different team. You know, like this could be like a. Yeah.
But I'm trying to find a way to work out for Polaris how they can do a team event.
Yeah.
Without doing a quintet style event.
Yeah.
Like another way. There's just such a good narrative to the team like competition. Having two teams instead of having two individuals.
You could do some I think like continental ones would be cool as well. Like Europe and North America, you know, like
you could get some if you had like a big backer.
Yeah.
Like imagine like a European
like,
team and a European team, an Australian or Asian team, a Brazilian team, and an American team.
Yeah.
And they were properly the best guys.
Yeah.
Would be insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, dude, we've done almost 2 hours.
Awesome.
Yeah. Any last things? Or anything?
No. Huge thanks for having me
on.
My
pleasure, man. I just thought...
Check out my instructionals.
Do you know what? I'll... Not that you've asked me to do it, but I will tell you one thing. When I just said to a few guys, because I was at train just before I came here, I said that I was having you on, and they said that I've got a few of my guys who watch a lot of DVDs, and said that your DVDs of all of them are some of the best out there.
Thank you very much.
Legit. So,
cheers.
Like, straight up, where can they find you? I know you're on Instagram and all of that stuff. I'll give them that.
Yes, I'm on Instagram. I think... Lachlan Giles. I think that's my Instagram.
I'll check it anyway.
Yeah.
I'll make sure it gets right. The DVDs are with BJJ Fanatics?
Yeah, so I have, at the moment, 2 DVDs with BJJ Fanatics and a third one coming out. So that's a chokes one, a half guard one, and I've got a guard passing series
Do you have a leg lock one as well?
No.
You don't have one?
No, Craig's got one, so I thought I'd... Yeah.
You let him have that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a few people who said that yours are some of the best laid out.
Oh, thank you. Cheers. Yeah, I try to structure it in a certain way, which is like how I would want it. Like, I used to watch a lot of instructionals, and the thing that annoyed me the most was always like, if I had like a question from it, I didn't know how to find the answer. Like, I'd have to watch like 2 hours to see if, I'd have to be like, when do they show like how to deal with this? So I've kind of tried to frame it by like I show the moves, but then like troubleshooting, like what do you do when they do this, what do you do in that, so you can kind of like come back.
I've always thought that was like the best way to show jiu-jitsu, full stop. Like,
exactly.
Actually, you show everything that you don't want to do from here, or anything that they might do that you don't want to happen is kind of the best way, and then you like whittle down all the options until you've only got the correct thing there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome, man. But where can they check that out?
So that's on BJJ Fanatics, and I also have some butterfly single X guard stuff on the Grappler's Guide.
Okay.
And if you use the code Lachlan, that helps me out as well, and it saves you 30%. So
that's a big saving. I'll drop all of that stuff in the outro.
Awesome.
Anyway. Thank you very much for.
Thanks, heaps.
I know you were here you spent 2 weeks in the UK.
Yeah. That's been really good.
And you're off tomorrow, so I'm really glad that I managed to get you in just before.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No worries.
Thank you very much, man.
Cheers.
That is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you want to follow Lachlan, then you can check him out on Instagram. He is at Lachlan_Giles. As always, if you want to follow me / the podcast, you can check me out on Twitter or on Instagram at raspberry_ape. You can check out my website, which is raspberryape.com. You can email me at podcast@raspberryape.com. You can check out my YouTube page where this and other podcasts will be found, which is youtube.com/raspberryape. And now you can follow me on Spotify. Yes, the podcast is now on Spotify, which I'm very happy about. Makes it very easy for a lot of people to listen to. So go tell your friends. It's on Spotify now. Now they have no excuse for not listening to it. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will catch you next time. Take it easy.